Everyone for joining us for our latest installment of Solutions for Success. This month's topic is leveraging the SharePoint lookbook, taking you on a little bit of a tour as to what the lookbook templates are, what they're used for, and if it's something that you're not familiar with, how you could be using them in your SharePoint online environment. So John Zeri will be your driver today, or my chauffeur, and I will be sort of walking you through some of the background on what they are, and then we're going to take you on a little demo. So the quick agenda: who is Point Alliance? What is this SharePoint lookbook that we speak of? And then a quick reminder of other upcoming webinars in our Solutions for Success series. So for those of you who don't know, Point Alliance is a Toronto-based Gold Microsoft partner with 10 competencies. Our team is 100% Microsoft certified, and we're very proud of that. You can find our website at pointalliance.com/company profile for a little more detail, but we'll jump right in. So what are these lookbook templates? So the lookbook templates are provided from Microsoft themselves. They are templates really to get you started on your journey of using SharePoint Online. So for some of you that are familiar with the platform, you will know that you can create communication sites and team sites on the platform. What the lookbook templates give you, and on a few of the future slides, you'll see the user interface, is they give you an enhanced user experience for you to build these sites. So not just your vanilla document libraries and sort of updates and activities, but really a much more pleasing user interface where you can update your news, you can update events, you can do all sorts of things. And really what they are is a combination of a handful of the web parts that Microsoft provides. So again, there is a laundry list of 70 to 80 Microsoft web parts for modern SharePoint. What they have done for you is stitch together a handful of these into different templates to support different use cases, whether it's an intranet site, whether it's a project team site, onboarding, HR communications, all of these sorts of things. It's not that you couldn't build these up yourself from scratch, but it really, what we find is provides a great starting point and generates ideas, because it's a lot easier to see examples of what these things could look like as opposed to a blank canvas. Yeah, so we will give you a little more information. So they are all responsively designed, which is very nice. So much like SharePoint Online, sort of out of the box, these templates are responsively designed. So any device that you're using, whether it's your phone, a tablet, a desktop, you don't have to do any custom CSS or things like that. These are going to format themselves appropriately. And as well, they are multilingual. So, we do have clients running English and French sites and intranets, and so they can flip between those. There is custom branding available to you. So there are different color palettes that you can choose. You can put your logo in there. You can shift things around, and you can really sort of make it your own. At the same time, I would caution you that it is limited custom branding. So this is not a WordPress site. This is not a blank canvas. So what we have found with some clients is, they can live within the constraints of these templates, and a lot of that is to make sure that it stays responsive and that it's easy to use. Others have built, or we have worked with them to come up with custom buttons and things that look exactly like they would like. So you are restricted sometimes as to the fonts and the font sizes that you can use within some of these web parts. The premise at a very high level, again, is you don't need a designer and you don't need a developer to launch these sites. So John and I are going to walk you through sort of how you get this template into your environment. But again, the idea at the high level is somebody, a power user, a citizen developer could launch these into your tenant with proper access and configure the web parts without knowing CSS and HTML and having to develop a lot of code. So how do you get these lookbook templates into your Microsoft tenant? So you do have to have global admin credentials or have access to somebody with global admin credentials. Your tenant has an app catalog installed, and you're the administrator of that app catalog. So when I just gave you the example of only needing to be a power user to do this, that's true. Once you get it into your tenant, you need somebody with elevated privileges to help you get this downloaded. I don't know, John, if there's anything you wanted to add on that.
That's exactly. Yeah. So you make a request to your admin team that you're looking for one of these lookbooks, and they will install it for you. Basically, once it's installed, they will grant you access to it as an owner, and then you can go at it and make the changes you required.
All right.
So that said, let's just go right into it. I guess I just show you again. As Jonathan mentioned, it's very straightforward, and so let me just bring this one down. So how do you get to it? Very simple. The address is lookbook.microsoft.com, and you can get to that, and you can see through the menu, you can look at the designs. They categorize them by organization, department, team, community, solutions, schools, or the syntax. So for today's walkthrough, we're going to use the one called landing here, and you just select the landing. So when you select any of this, again, you get information about that. What's the site feature for any of this? So custom company team, virtual vertical section, section background, and so on. And then what web parts is being used. So again, they vary from each other. Each one has a different web parts. And you want to find the closest one to what you're looking for. Again, there's lots of them there, and you do that. And go through this. And also the other thing you can do, you can download this lookbook if you want to share it with your team so they can have a look at it. You can just download the PDF and share that with your team members. So that's going to give them an idea of what they should be expecting through this lookbook. So again, Microsoft does an amazing job on the documentation and information here for you. So again, so we're going to go back to this page again. So let's just say we decided to go with this template. So again, if with a person with a global admin, they're going to select this button to add it to a tenant. Again, this could not be any more simpler than this. They've done an amazing job. Email the person should be notified. What's the name of the site need to be? Give it a unique name. We'll check that. And then you click on a provision. And what it will do, because I just added this, I'm going to create another one. And you go this, and we're going to provision that. So you see, okay, realize, okay, this is that address doesn't exist. And I'm going to tell you what's going to happen here. So this process, as the screen mentioned, it takes about 5 minutes. So we have gone ahead and created this. So if I go to the next tab here, so we created this. Again, the person was created and get notified. This is a URL to that, and it's a provision completed. So we're going to go to the site we have created here. And here we are. So again, a beautiful, functional SharePoint site, which is ready for your customization. Back to you, Jonathan.
Thank you. Thank you. So as John mentioned, adding this to your tenant, as long as you've got someone with the right level of access, is very easy and quick. And again, what it's giving you is a home page here that you'll see, which is a combination of web parts that they have just put together on your behalf. So if we look at the top, we've got a scrolling hero image of news. Below that, again, we have a news web part just displayed in a different manner. If we go up, back up to the very top, we'll see that the landing demo was the name that John had given this site. So that, is whatever you want to call your intranet. You've got navigation across the top, and this is a communication site, right? So just to be clear for everybody, that's what this is. When you download your lookbook templates, it's either coming as a communication site or a team site, just as if you were creating a brand new one in SharePoint Online. So a communication site is going to have the navigation across the top. Again, you can see that there's an edit button there because John has access at that level to this site, so you can configure the navigation however you would like. We've got audience targeting down at the bottom of that. And again, this site is just a standalone site. So, with many of our clients, this is sort of the starting point, and this will become a hub site. So for those of you that are familiar with hub sites, again, we can connect multiple sites to a hub site, propagate the navigation across the top, inherit themes and permissions and things like that. And John's just clicking through again. So he's gone into edit mode of this page. He's gone into one of the web parts, which is a weather web part. And he's just editing that and configuring that to pick a specific city. So it's set at Toronto. If your organization has locations across the province, across the country, or across the world, again, you can configure that. We don't need any code. You can put in a handful of cities for your different office locations. And in a similar way, below that was the locations and times web part. So again, if you want to know what time it is at different parts of the world, really this is functioning almost like an app on your phone that's configurable. You can add that dynamically to the list and display that for everyone. So these are web parts, again, that you can add, you can edit, you can delete. We've got a quick links web part there that John has just highlighted. So again, if we go up to the pencil in that top, sorry, that's okay. I was just going to say, if you go to the pencil of that web part that you're in, we can see. So here, again, every time you hit the pencil, that's the edit. It's going to give you the different configuration and layouts for that web part. So again, this is out of the box. It is responsive. Do we want it to look like a film strip? Do we want it to be in some sort of grid, button list? You can configure that. Again, you can configure or enable audience targeting. So it depends on your organization. Many display all content to all users. But what Microsoft 365 allows you to do is target your content as well and personalize it. And that's done in a few different ways. So one, we can audience target our navigation or our content to certain people and certain groups. And we can leverage Azure Active Directory for the groups that those people are in. So again, different content may be relevant to different people depending on the location that they're in, depending on the country they're working in. It could be HR policies and benefits that are relevant, again, at a province level or country level. So we can target that content both through configuration as well as John is scrolling down, you'll see, on the right-hand rail, my news, and I think below my news are my recent documents. Again, now this is specific to the person, right? So now we're combining content that we're pushing out as, let's say, a communications department, but as well a web part that's showing us, here are the documents that I have most recently worked on. So we're combining content for everybody, content that we're targeting to certain groups because of, their role, their location, those sorts of things. And then we've got information about the individual because this is all tied to Microsoft 365 as to the sites that you're going to, the content that you're working on. And as John's scrolling down, there's even a my recommendation. So we're using AI behind the scenes, or we're not using it, but Microsoft's using it to recommend content that you might be interested in. So again, based on things you have access to, based on files that you're working on, based on the team that you're in or the department, here is other content that we're going to surface that we think might be of interest to you. So again, you can see that John's in edit mode, and we can configure the layout of what that web part looks like. At the very bottom, you'll see, and this is something that people enjoy as well, is just whether we're turning commenting on or off. So again, an important aspect of sort of staff engagement is whether they're commenting on the content. And it's been interesting working with some clients. Some are very apprehensive to turn this on, and they don't necessarily know what they're going to get in comments from their staff, or they're concerned that people aren't going to comment. And so if there aren't any comments there and they've turned it on, then what is the perception going to be? But I think a number have been pleasantly surprised by the amount of comments people have added, to the page, to a news article. There's lots of information that you can get, and again, it builds on the engagement. One of the interesting web parts, if John scrolls up just a little bit, and you can sort of just get a glimpse of it here, is conversations across the organization. So this web part integrates with Yammer. For those that don't know what Yammer is, it's a platform acquired by Microsoft a number of years ago, sometimes referred to as sort of the corporate Facebook. But we can have communities, we can have conversations, we can be sharing information in Yammer. And again, based on who we are and which communities we're a part of, we can surface that information in SharePoint. So, important to see how some of these platforms integrate, and that you don't need to go to a whole bunch of different places to find information. So we're drawing information in from SharePoint, we're drawing information in from Yammer. Beside the Yammer web part is the Twitter web part, so we can draw in social content as well, so that our users are getting access really from a homepage perspective, coming from a variety of sources. And then they can drill into those if they want to go further into those platforms, further into those sites. Again, we're doing a quick demo for you of a single site. The reality is that within organizations, even from a SharePoint perspective, is that you will probably have multiple SharePoint sites that are connected to this as a hub. Reasons for that, as opposed to having all your content in one place, is, for example, that we would like to enable different departments to manage their own content. And that content could be files, that content could be news. And so it is easiest to have a structure of supporting SharePoint sites to manage the security around the documents and that content. And then we can bubble it up to the hub site. So we do have some analytics built right into the site. Again, so John has gone into the page analytics. So if we want to look at who's accessing this content, how many times it's been viewed, how long people are staying here, what times a day are they accessing this site, we can see that at a page level. So that's a nice feature here, again, that communications is usually quite interested in. If we do close this web part and we just go to the gear, which is the configuration in the top right, we will be able to click on site usage as one of the options. And that's going to give us, again, a similar layout and similar types of information, but at the site level. So John had just opened up the page information. Again, this is a template that was downloaded very recently, so you're not going to see a whole lot of historical data, but we're going to see, are people accessing, this SharePoint site or this intranet on desktops, on their mobile phones, what times a day? Again, this will consolidate and roll up which pages are of most interest to people, which news posts are of most interest, what documents are people launching and downloading. all sorts of things like that. So again, from a communication site perspective, lots of great information there. And you don't have to, add additional plugins. So that is sort of the very quick tour. There are other web parts, top right corner. Again, we can see as a product countdown. We've seen clients use that for products. We've seen them use it for events, whether it's conferences, annual general meetings, things like that. So there's a number of different things we can do with our countdown timer. We pick when the date of the event, the launch is, again, what the call to action is, what the background image is. So there's lots of configuration that we can do. Maybe the last one we'll just go into, because I don't think we did, is maybe if John selects just the news web part, that's the slider, and we edit that, we'll just show you, we talked about having different sites supporting your intranet. So if you look at the panel on the furthest right, you'll see what is our news source. So right now it's just this site. We could change that to selected sites. So again, you can see different sites that we have in our SharePoint environment. So we can display news not just from a single location, but we can bubble it up from different locations. Again, this can be done dynamically. This can be done from a moderated perspective. So again, it's still somebody from communications who's deciding, which of the 4 news articles are we displaying. You can see that we've got our different displays and different layouts for our news. So it's actually, they're both news web parts, the slider and the list that John's editing right now. So we can display things in slightly different ways. We can pick the number of posts that we're going to display. You can see that just below the layout. So whether that's 4, whether it's 2, whether it's 6. And John's just picking different sites there that may or may not have content in them. So some of these sites may have news, some may not have any news because they're just being used for document collaboration. But if we just scroll down in that configuration panel a little more, show the number of views on these news articles, show who the author is or not, show the published date. So again, things we can turn on and off, and you can see on the left-hand side as John toggles those, the display is adjusting dynamically. And then, the last piece is the filtering at the bottom. And the filtering is where you can actually do some fairly complicated filtering of the news. So again, if we are not just creating news, but creating news with tags, what sort of news is it? Are we welcoming staff to the organization? Is it corporate news? Is it departmental news? Is it regional news? Is it product news? There's many different tags that we can apply to our news, and we can then use our filtering to display that news in a suitable location. So should it be on the home page? Should it be on a landing page or a departmental page? Lots of things that we can do with dynamic filtering and audience targeting to make sure that we're displaying the appropriate news to the appropriate people. So I think that's a quick sort of whirlwind tour of the lookbook template. This one again that we showed you today was called the landing. There are many different web parts where you can integrate Microsoft Forms for surveys and polls. You can integrate Power BI dashboards. Lots of different things you can do. These are all out of the box. Again, you can go down the custom route and build your own custom web parts if you so desire. Most of our clients usually want to start with out-of-the-box web parts because when you get into customization, there is support and maintenance and some of those things that are tied to it. So, lots of things definitely for you to consider out of the box. And I would suggest that many of our clients are only using out-of-the-box web parts associated to their intranet and their lookbook templates that they've launched. So that's been a quick tour. I know we moved rather quickly and clicked around to a lot of different areas. Some of you who will be familiar with lookbook templates, hopefully this was a refresher. Those that are new to it, again, it is a great resource and a great starting point. And There are many people out there who are unaware that you can have these downloaded into your environment as a great starting point for intranets, extranets, or even just other SharePoint sites that you would like to have a bit nicer user experience.
Thank you, John. That was a great demo. Sorry about the voice here. Just to let you know, we run our Solution for Success webinars third Tuesday of each month. Please check out our website, pointalliance.com/events for the next. So again, the next one, we talk about collaborating with Teams, SharePoint, and OneDrive. That's in July. For August, we're talking about Adobe Acrobat, Microsoft 365 integration. And then our September one is about the Microsoft 365 Admin Center for those administrators. Be interested to know what you can find there. That said, I hope you did enjoy our event today. We will be posting this also on our YouTube channel. And please feel free to leave us a review and also your feedback. That said, this brings our event to conclusion. Thank you again, and appreciate it.